have you ever really thought about what you want your retirement to look like? Not just like the money part, but like what you'll actually do all day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big question, right?
It is, yeah.
And it's one that, well, we here at the FBS podcast are trying to help folks in the forest products industry figure out. So today we're gonna deep dive into retirement planning.
Okay, that's good.
We're using there's this case study in the book After Wood Roads to Retirement, and it's about this consulting forester. She's in her 30s. Her name's Gert, and
Okay, Gert.
yeah, so she's already taken steps to kind of get ready for retirement.
Smart.
Yeah, so let's hear her story and see what we can all learn from her.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so Gert, she started her own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Called Solstice Forestry,
Hmm.
and she really loves working with like family forest owners.
Oh, nice.
But like a lot of people who start businesses, she had some money problems at the beginning.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
So she's got like a $1,200 a month mortgage payment.
Okay.
And she had like $15,000 in savings when she started, but now she's up to $28,000 saved for retirement.
Good for her.
But she also has, she's still got $10,000 in student loans.
Oh, student loan.
And a $600 truck payment every month.
Okay, so juggling a few things.
Yeah. A lot of our listeners can probably relate to that, right? How do you even start planning for retirement when you've got all that other stuff?
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times people push off retirement planning because they're so busy with everything else.
Yeah.
But, even just thinking about what you want your retirement to look like can be helpful. It can help you make, good decisions now.
So how much should people be saving?
Well, there's this thing called the Rule of 25. It says you should multiply your annual expenses in retirement by 25. And that's how much you should aim to have saved by the time you retire.
So like if Gert thinks she'll need $100,000 a year in retirement, she should try to save $2.5 million.
That's right.
Wow.
That's a big number. But that's kind of the point of the rule, right? It just helps you see the big picture.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so Gert started with like $15,000 in savings.
Yeah.
And now it's up to $28,000.
Right.
But she still has that student loan and the truck payment.
Right, yeah.
How does she balance like paying off all that debt
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, isn't it?
and saving for retirement at the same time?
A lot of people struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no easy answer. It depends on a lot of things, like interest rates on your debt,
Hmm.
or whether you can get a tax deduction for something. Like, Gert's mortgage has a pretty low interest rate,
Mm-hmm.
and she might be able to deduct the interest on her taxes. So is it better to pay that off earlier, or should she use that money to invest?
And it's interesting because Gert, she works by herself, right?
Right.
She could try to grow her business.
Yeah.
Like get more clients or maybe even hire some employees.
Mm-hmm.
But she wants to keep it small.
Mm-hmm.
She likes, having good relationships with her clients.
Yeah.
And she tries to charge by the project instead of by the hour whenever she can.
Makes sense. That gives her more control over her time.
Yeah. But does that mean she won't be able to save as much for retirement?
Well, it depends, right? I mean, it's not just about how much money you make. It's also about how much you spend.
Right. What about Social Security?
Mm.
Do you think people can still count on that?
A lot of young people are skeptical about Social Security.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it makes sense to be a little cautious, right? It's good to have other sources of income. So Gert is trying to, she wants to max out her IRA before she really starts thinking about a health savings account.
That seems smart. Like you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. It's about having a plan.
Okay, so one thing Gert could do is she could pay off all her high-interest debt. So like the student loan and the truck payment.
Okay.
And then once that's done, she could just put as much as she can into her IRA every year until she retires.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say she retires at 67. And let's say she gets an 8% return on her investments.
8%? That's pretty good.
Yeah. So if she does all that, she could end up with like $1.67 million saved by that.
Which is great. But remember, she was aiming for $2.5 million.
Right. So she's a little short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important to think about, all the different options out there, especially if you're self-employed, like Gert. There are some retirement plans that are specifically for people who work for themselves.
Like that solo 401k thing we talked about.
Exactly.
How does that work?
Well, with a solo 401k, it's like you're both the employee and the employer.
Okay.
So you can actually contribute more money.
Oh, I see.
With a regular IRA, you're limited to, let me check my notes, $7,000 in 2024 or $8,000 if you're 50 or older. But with the solo 401k, it's way more.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. This year you can put in up to $66,000 or $73,500 if you're over 50.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a lot more.
Yeah, a lot of self-employed folks really like it for that
So
reason.
you can put in money as like an employee and as the employer.
Yep, exactly.
So like how much can you put in as the employee?
So the employee contribution is capped at $22,500, $30,000 if you're over 50.
Okay.
And then on the employer side, you can contribute up to 25% of your net adjusted self-employment income.
Oh, okay. So like the more money your business makes,
Mm-hmm.
the more you can contribute.
Right. But there is a limit, like I said, that's $66,000 or $73,500.
Okay, so you can't just, contribute like $1 million.
Right, exactly.
So we were saying that Gert might want to wait to start using the solo 401k because she wants to maybe start a family.
Right, and we saw how even putting it off for a few years can really change things.
Yeah, like how much she needs to save later on.
Yeah, and it's tough. People have to make choices,
For sure.
balance their goals for now with their goals for the future.
Totally.
Oh.
Okay, so what are those other things Gert was looking at, like investing in timberland? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, she's a forester, so she probably knows a lot about that.
Yeah.
It could be a good way to protect herself from inflation
Mm-hmm.
and, diversify her investments. Trees are different from stocks and bonds. There's something real, a tangible asset.
I like that. Tangible.
And they could go up in value over time.
Yeah.
Plus, she could maybe even make some money by harvesting timber.
That makes sense.
But it is a long-term investment.
Yeah.
Gotta be patient.
So it's not like just buying some land and then waiting for the trees to grow.
Nope, you gotta know what you're doing. You need to know about managing forests, how the timber market works, what the environmental rules are, all that stuff.
Sounds complicated.
And there are risks, too.
Mm-hmm.
Natural disasters, bugs, diseases that can mess things up.
Right, so probably not for everyone.
Probably not, no. I mean, unless you really know what you're doing or you have someone good to advise you.
Okay, what about real estate?
Yeah, that's another option.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for people in the forest products industry who know about rural land values.
Yeah.
It can be a good investment.
Yeah.
You could see your property go up in value,
Mm.
or you could rent it out for income.
Oh, yeah.
And there might even be tax advantages.
I see.
There are challenges, too.
Oh.
Like, sometimes it can be hard to sell a property if you need cash fast.
Oh, right.
That's that liquidity thing.
Yeah.
And if you're a landlord, you might have to deal with repairs or problem tenants.
Right, so more things to worry about.
Exactly.
So both timberland and real estate are kind of risky then?
And it can be, yeah.
It's
not like you can just sit back and relax. You got to be involved.
They're not just something you can, set and forget.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about Social Security. What's the deal with that? A lot of people I know are kind of worried about it.
Yeah, it's a big topic. People are talking a lot about whether it's going to be around in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be like a safety net.
Right, not your only source of income.
Exactly. You need other savings.
So basically don't count on it too much.
Right. It's better to have a plan and not need Social Security than to need it and not have it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, what about those health savings accounts, the HSAs? How do those work?
Oh, those are good, especially if you have a health insurance plan with a high deductible.
Okay.
The big thing is there's a triple tax benefit.
Wait, triple?
Yeah. 3 ways you save on taxes.
Wow. Okay, tell me more.
So first, when you put money in an HSA, it reduces your taxable income for that year.
Okay.
Second, the money in the HSA grows without being taxed. And third, you can take money out tax-free to pay for medical expenses,
Oh, nice.
both now and when you're retired.
So it's like a special account just for healthcare.
Yeah, exactly. And you can even use it for non-medical stuff in retirement, but then you'll have to pay taxes on it.
Okay, that's still pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's a really flexible tool.
So we've talked about like regular retirement plans, IRAs, and 401ks.
Yeah.
And some more unusual things like timberland and real estate
Right.
and Social Security and these HSA things.
Yeah, lots of different options.
It can be kind of overwhelming, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if you're just starting to think about retirement or you're having money troubles.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
So what should people do? Like, what's a good first step?
I think the best thing is to start by figuring out what you want.
Like, what you want your retirement to look like.
Exactly. Think about it like, where do you want to live? What do you want to do? What would make you happy?
I like that, having a vision.
Yeah. Because once you know what you want, it's easier to make a plan to get there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then you can start looking at the numbers and figuring out how much you need to save and how you're going to invest it.
I bet it also helps to, have a budget and be careful about how much you spend.
Totally. You got to watch what's coming in and what's going out.
And we were saying how time is really important,
The sooner you start saving, the better.
even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah. Even small amounts can grow a lot over time.
That compounding thing.
Exactly.
What about people who are like already in their 40s or 50s? Is it too late for them?
Never too late. You can still catch up. It's just about, being realistic about your goals.
Right, and not giving up.
Yeah. There are still things you can do.
Okay, so don't freak out if you haven't started saving yet.
No, just take a deep breath and make a plan.
Good advice. This has been a really helpful conversation,
Glad to hear it.
but I feel like we could keep talking about this forever.
Oh, yeah. There's so much more to say.
Like different ways to invest and how to manage risk
Mm-hmm.
and like all the emotional stuff that comes with thinking about retirement.
Definitely. It's not just about the money.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a big life change.
Totally. So how do people deal with that? Like, how can
Oh.
you get ready for such a big change?
Well, I think one thing that helps is to really picture what you want your retirement to be like.
Oh, like that vision thing we were talking about.
Exactly. Like close your eyes and really imagine it.
Okay.
Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing?
Like making a movie in your head.
Yeah. And the more details you can add, the better.
So it feels more real.
Right. And when you can really see it, feel it, then you're more likely to actually make it happen.
I like that. Okay. So picturing the good stuff.
Yeah.
But there's still that fear, right? Like, what if it doesn't work out?
Of course, there's always uncertainty.
Yeah.
But you can focus on the things you can control.
Like what?
Well, like how much you save each month, how you invest your money, your spending habits.
Oh, right. Those practical things.
Exactly. You have power over those things.
That makes me feel a little better already.
Good. It's about taking charge, not letting fear hold you back.
Right. Being proactive.
Exactly. And, sometimes we have these thoughts that kind of sabotage us.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm too young to worry about retirement, or I don't make enough money to save anything.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely thought those things.
But they're just not true. It's never too early to start, and even small amounts can grow a lot over time.
Yeah, that compounding thing is pretty amazing.
It is. And you don't have to figure this all out on your own.
Oh, right. Like getting help.
Exactly. Talk to a financial advisor, take a class, join a group online, whatever works for you.
Having people to talk to can make a big difference, for sure.
It really can. And don't forget to celebrate your successes.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah. Like, did you pay off a credit card? Did you manage to save an extra $50 this month?
Give yourself a pat on the back.
Exactly. It keeps you motivated.
So it's not just about the big picture stuff. It's about the little things, too.
Exactly. And remember, life changes, right?
Hmm.
So your retirement plan might have to change too.
That's kind of scary.
It can be, but it's also exciting. It means you get to keep learning and growing.
I guess you're right.
So be flexible, be open to new ideas, and trust that you can handle whatever comes your way.
Okay, I like that. So to wrap things up, what are the most important things for people to remember?
I think the biggest thing is to remember that this is a journey.
Not just a destination.
Right. So enjoy the process, learn as you go, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
And start by thinking about what you really want.
Yeah. What does your dream retirement look like? Once you have that picture in your mind, you can start figuring out the steps to get there.
Look at all the different options, from traditional savings plans to investing in things like timberland or real estate.
And if it feels overwhelming, don't hesitate to reach out to an expert.
Your future self will thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the FBS podcast. We hope this deep dive into retirement planning has given you some food for thought and some practical tips to get started. Remember, you have the power to create a retirement that is both financially secure and fulfilling. Good luck on your journey.
Hey, this is Steve Bick with the Forest Business School. Thanks for listening to the FBS podcast, and I hope you will subscribe. The truth is, these deep dives barely scratch the surface of some of the topics we cover in the Forest Business School programs, and the podcast is a way of reaching a wider audience. Check out my website at vtfbs.com for more information. Reach out if you want to talk about one of the FBS programs or have custom training or project needs that you'd like to discuss. Again, thanks for listening to the FBS podcast.